Hi, my name is Sushant. I'm the co founder of a management consulting firm called Easy Problem Solving. We are based out of Hyderabad. I'm from DLC's Global Innovation and Design Thinking Committee, Hyderabad chapter. I have about 23 years of work ex across various corporates, and then I founded my consulting company in 2019. So it's been about 3 years. We help our clients accelerate business transformation and help them embed innovation and thrive creativity in their organizations. The topic for today that I'm going to talk about is intrapreneurship and corporate innovation. I know it's a term which have most of us haven't heard of. So let me start by asking the audience a question, which is you've all heard of Adhar Poonawalla, right? A famous name who almost saved the country and the world. But how many of us know the plant manager or the chief scientist working with the pharma division who made the vaccines? Okay, the answer is none of us. Now the thing is, while Adhar Poonawalla is celebrated as an entrepreneur corporate who designed the vaccine, there are a lot of people who were behind the scenes working on it. Let me ask you another question: how many of you have heard the name of Arthur Fry or Ken Kotaragi? The answer is none. Right. Now let me talk about the inventions that they made. You heard of PlayStations? You heard of Post-its, right? Common things, almost everyone uses it or has been exposed to it. Now these were employees in 3M and Sony respectively who designed these respective products. The point that I'm trying to make is behind every successful entrepreneur, there are a host of intrapreneurs. Okay. Who are intrapreneurs? This term was coined way back in 1978. Intrapreneurs are employees within the organizations who play the role of entrepreneurs and convert successful ideas onto profitable realities. Now, today I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship. Now, before I jump into entrepreneurship and how does it work, what does it entail, what are the benefits, let me take you back a little bit into my story. I have been an entrepreneur who then went on to become an entrepreneur. If I talk about my career, I started my career with Tata's, moved on to General Electric or GE, and then Wipro. In all of these organizations, the opportunity that I got was working on large scale business transformations across different industries, from hotels to financial services and then on to technology. Now, what I realized is this fed my creative pursuit of doing meaningful work. Okay. And as I moved ahead and now that I'm founder of a consulting firm and we look at various organizations, what we've now discovered is that, one of the reasons that drives attrition today is people are looking for meaningful work, right? Which is why they keep hopping and skipping different organizations to find that meaning. Whereas I was fortunate enough to work in organizations which gave me this opportunity. Now, corporates and innovation somehow doesn't tie together, right? Innovation we associate with it either extreme high technology or high tech firms or with startups. Corporates are known to be quote unquote lazy. Okay, they work with a certain speed, and the reason that they are averse to innovation, or so it seems, is because they have a proven and tested business model which works like a predictable money making machine. Now, while I'll tell you that innovation within corporate is possible and that's where you can play a role of an entrepreneur, is it easy? The answer is no, it's not easy. It's almost as difficult as being an entrepreneur. The advantage is that while you're within the corporate, you get the comfort of funding, of resources that you can experiment with to work on the idea. Now, themes that have worked for me as an entrepreneur across different organizations have been you have to look at it from four steps. You have to look at ideation, you have to look at how do you pitch that idea, how do you validate that idea. Now a lot of times people have difficulties in ideating. How do I look at ideations differently? You can attend workshops, you can get inspirations from that, but then you come back and you realize majority of the jobs that we do are business as usual or BAU activities as we call them. Now how do you innovate BAU activity? How do you look at it differently and try to come up with a new solution? So we are going to talk about it. Before we talk about tools and techniques, let's talk about one of the most famous entrepreneurs that we all know of, a gentleman called Steve Jobs, right? Now, Steve Jobs, the way I look at him, Steve Jobs is a visionary, right? Or he was a visionary. He created, earth-shattering or completely differentiated products and services, right from the first Macintosh to the Mac to the iPod and now the iPhone, which transformed the way we interact with technology. Now, did he design all these products and services? The answer is no. He had a grand vision and he had this pool of entrepreneurs within Apple which were working on specific products and developing the technology for that. Now, which brings me to the earlier point that behind every successful entrepreneur are a host of entrepreneurs. Now, using this as a base, what are some of the benefits that an organization can have by implementing entrepreneurship? Now, first, let's talk about from an employee perspective. You get to do meaningful work. You get engaged with business strategic projects, and you are, because the organization growth, your growth prospects grow as well, and you become richer in experience. From an employer perspective, I know some of the people in the audience are also business owners or senior leaders in the organization. We are all aware of the challenges that we all face from a talent acquisition perspective into today's market, right? People tend to gravitate towards organizations which offer them fresher opportunity. And whether we like it or not, Gen Z is a reality, and their take on what they expect from a job or their engagement perspectives are very different. So we need to create an environment which is engaging, and what better than entrepreneurship? Second, because you're attracting high talent pool or creative talent pool, your growth opportunities become bigger and your employees stay engaged. So it's a win-win for both the employer as well as the employee. Now, what we did is we did a lot of research and we figured out what are some of the tools and techniques that can help people innovate better in large organizations. Now, one of the things that we realized when we created our entire structure, we've broken it up into three aspects. One, what is it that the individual can do? Second, what is it that the company can do from a management structure, strategy, leadership perspective? And third, what are the quick hit tools that can be improvised that I can talk about? I don't have the luxury today to get into all of the details. But let's first talk about the individual. How are entrepreneurs different from everybody else within the same organization? In our research, we have found, and through our own experiences of being intrapreneurs prior, is that there are three critical aspects which differentiates an entrepreneur. They think different, they behave different, and they execute different. Now, what do I mean by think different? Okay. Now, what I want to say by think different is they're big dreamers, right? Dreamers within the organization, they will always challenge the status quo and look at a better, simpler, faster way of executing their idea. Okay. They behave differently. They're not typical your lone wolves. Okay. They try and enroll a lot of people, because the success of any idea in a large corporate is how many people embrace your idea, how many people support your idea. So they typically work on a win-win propositions. Okay. They execute differently. That's the most important part, because ideas are almost like shaving or brushing, right? You do it every day, and if you don't, there's something wrong with it. So ideas occur every day. How many ideas can go to completion or fruition is what differentiates a successful entrepreneur. Okay. So what we've done is we've created an entire measurement survey which measures your IQ, or the way we call it entrepreneur quotient, on a scale of on think, behave, and execute. One of the reasons that we wanted to create this was we believe all of these skills can be taught. Organizations can embrace it, individuals can embrace it, and then become better innovators and creative individuals. So entrepreneur or IQ is the first way that you measure it. How do you measure on a think, behave, execute scale? What are the traits within this as an individual that you need to focus on, work on to improve your entrepreneur capability? Now, what we do is once we administer this question, we get a sort of improvement areas and the strengths. Then we work with the individuals or the function or the company which is identified, and then we work with them over a period of time to start executing it further and further. The second aspect that we come to is something which we call index or innovation index, in which we help look at how does the entire structure of the organization, from a strategy, leadership, management, people and products and services, they all come together to achieve the larger vision of the company. In that sense, are you creating an organization which is aligned, or are there individual silos which are running? So how do you break that silo and create a cohesive environment? How do you get your innovation methodology or innovation strategy all permeable, right? And how do we grow from there? So that is something that index measures and helps the organization to chart their own path. Having done all of that, the most important part that we figured out is we all can attend a lot of workshops and trainings. I have done a lot of them, right? The challenge is you attend whether a 2 hour or a 3 day or a 6 month workshop, you come out of it and then you look at your own job, and then there's a sort of a chasm or a struggle between what is it that was taught to you and how do you implement it in your daily life. Now, what we've done is we did a lot of research, especially during the COVID time frames, and we look at how countries have evolved. If you look specifically at countries like India, The digital leapfrogging that we've done in the last 2 years has been phenomenal. Okay, the financial inclusion that a UPI brings about is far superior than what a blockchain has promised in the Western world, right? The mass scale adoption of whether it's UPI or a COVID app which lets you track of which vaccine, which doses down to the batch number has been phenomenal success story, which has been implemented in a very, very short time. So India is a great inspiration to look at from an innovation and mass adoption perspective. The second country that we take a lot of inspiration from is Israel. Now, the reason that we look at Israel, I know most of us look at Israel as a defense powerhouse, but you'll be surprised to know they are also a technology powerhouse. And some of their military or a defense DNA goes into making them better innovators. If you think of it, of a country like Israel, they are plagued with challenges. Okay, they are almost an arid land with barely any water and almost no natural resource, but they still make a very successful living, and their standard of living is one of the highest in the world. The reason for that is they tend to manage within constraints, and that's something that I haven't spoken about so far, but I'll do so now. It's very easy to get into blue sky thinking and saying that organization should give me $1 million to take my moonshot. It's not going to happen. Let's be real, right? There are limitations on both resources and budgets that you're going to get to execute your idea. So make sure that your idea is workable within a reasonable time frame, and you are able to promise something to the management or your stakeholder as to what you can execute better. Thirdly, what we did was we studied the inventive principles, which is also called TRIZ, T-R-I-Z. That's a Russian acronym. It stands for Theory of Inventive Problem Solving. They have about 40 principles. We looked at them and we condensed it down to three parts. Okay, we look at, to solve any problem, you need to look at break, change, and manage. What do we mean by break? Break is how can you break your problem into smaller segments and then try and identify which segment is required, which is not required. Think of an exercise cycle. What I've done in this case is I've taken off the most important element of a cycle, which is mobility. Now, can an immobile cycle serve any purpose? On the face of it, no. But if you force your thinking, you can make it an exercise cycle, right? It's a stationary object which can give you a cardio workout. Let's look at change. You've seen a lot of cola ads, right? Almost every cola ad, be it Pepsi or Thumbs Up or Coca-Cola, they associate cola with either happiness, doing something transformational. If I can go into a little bit of Hindi, like Thumbs Up says, aaj kuch tufani karte hain, etc. But have you seen Sprite? They cut all the clutter and they just come to the point of Sprite will help you only quench your thirst. We are not promising anything else. So what they're doing essentially is they're changing the way the customer receives or interacts with the product. Okay, that's the second way you can bring about change. And the third is manage. You manage the outcomes. Look, think of Google ads. Google or any social media, be it Instagram or Facebook, they thrive on aggregating the customer's information and then selling it to various companies to target their ads at that population. At the same time, they also give an option to each individual customer as to customize what ads they want to see on their feed or no, right? I have the option of putting out each ad. So they're managing outcomes from both fronts. So break, change, manage. This is the easiest way you can look at changing what you do on an everyday basis if your work is routine, and that's majority of India, because a lot of India is either doing back office or IT services, and your nature of your job may not allow you to do transformational innovation, quote unquote. But this is how you just look at these simple principles, and that's how you can innovate in your everyday work. What I'd like to stress again is that please understand that there will be constraints that you'll have to navigate and manage, okay, without which there is no innovation which is actually possible. In summary, before I get to the summary, I would like to thank DLC for giving me this opportunity to share my experience and my thoughts around entrepreneurship and innovation with a much larger audience. So thank you, DLC, for this opportunity. In summary, what I would like to tell you is entrepreneurship is the future of work. The reason that I say it's the future of work in today's environment, if you look at, which is extreme volatility, extreme uncertainty, and we don't know what tomorrow, the next day, or the next month holds. We've seen the events unfold over the last 2 years. From COVID to 21, where we expected a little recovery, and then now we are seeing global conflicts and supply chain and recession, which is knocking on our door, inflationary pressures. So in all of these environments, innovation has become a necessity. It's a must do. The challenges that companies face is how do employees think better on how can we have more pool of people thinking more innovative and creative solutions. One way we would like to tell you how you can do it is foster entrepreneurship in your company. Let more leaders emerge. To quote Google and the famous saying, let 1,000 flowers bloom. Okay. So in summary, I'd like to say entrepreneurship is the future of work. I'd like to thank you for your time and hope to interact with you in the future. Thank you.